Hello and welcome to the tutorial on printing. So the first thing we want to do with our file setup, we want to make sure that we only see what we want to print. And to do that, we're going to take anything else that's in the file, in this case this box for instance, and we're going to hide it. So to hide something, you could just click on the light bulb, left click, and then it asks us to select the object to hide. I press that and enter to hide it. To bring it back, you just right click and it'll bring back anything that's hidden. So you can hide multiple objects as well. If I wanted to hide all of this here plus this, I could just click on the hide, and again when I right click it brings everything back. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this, and it might be a little bit easier if I go into my top view, because from here on in we're really just dealing with something that's flat when we go to print. So to start printing, we're going to go up to our print icon at the very top. Just click on that, and this screen pops up. And the first thing we want to do is make sure that our destination is set. So if you just click on the destination, you'll want to scroll and find the printer that you're going to be using. In my case, I'm using this one right here, so I make sure that that is set. The next thing that we're going to do is click on View and Output Scale. You want to make sure that on this drop-down menu right here, when you click on it, make sure that it's set to Scaled to Fit. And now we're going to go ahead and click on Extents. And what that does is it brings the extents of everything that's visible in the file into the print view area. So I now have everything visible right here. If I wanted to get a little bit more out of my printer, I could go ahead and change this from a landscape right now. Because I'm dealing with something that's more or less in a portrait format, I could just select portrait, and although the lines don't look like they've changed, they're going to print a little bit larger on the page. But for what we're going to be doing in general, I suggest we stick with landscape. The other option that you might want to play with is the visibility at the bottom here. So if I'm click on that and just scroll down, and this is where we could actually view the grid lines as well. So if you're going to be using the grid to dimension things, you want to make sure that that's visible. I'm going to just turn that off for now. And I'm also going to just collapse both of these areas, the destination and the visibility, so I just have View and Output Scale visible. And you'll notice right now that it tells me up here scale is 14.93%. So in other words, everything has been shrunk down to scale for this piece of paper. And in fact, these dimensions here, these are inches, so 6.44 inches. Obviously, when I go to print this on a piece of paper, it's going to print to this actual size right now. So it's not going to print in real scale. And that might be fine for some situations. Maybe for if you want to actually print this to scale, we're going to have to tile things. And before we do that, I just want to show you under printer details. If you click on this, this is sort of sensitive to whatever printer I set up on my destination here. So under my printer details, you'll notice that it says paper type 11 by 8.5. But printable area is actually only 10.69 by 8, because printers in general won't print to the very edge of the paper, nor would you really want them to either for what we're doing. So in general, I think it's safe to say that we're going to want an area of 10 by 7.5. Okay. So what we're going to do now instead is I'm going to close this for a second. And what I want to do is create a box. So I'm going to start my rectangle command, and I'm just going to place this box anywhere. It doesn't really matter to start with. And so I just left click to start it, and it's asking me for the other corner. So I'm going to be doing this in landscape format going across this way. So I'm going to type 10, and then for the width going upwards, I'm going to type 7.5. Okay. So that's 10 by 7.5. That's my 10, and that's my 7.5. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to overlay this. So this represents my printable area. Okay, and we're going to use this area to snap to in a second when we go back into our print. So I'm going to just lay this out, and an easy way to do this, to create multiple copies, is to use this option right down here. It's the copy option. So just left click on that, or you can just type copy at the top and start that command, and it asks me for the point to copy from. Now with my end snap selected down here, I'm going to snap to the edge of this rectangle and left click, and now I'm just going to bring that over and make sure I snap to the end of that rectangle right there, and left click again. And I'm still in the command, so I can keep dropping copies, just making sure that I'm snapping to where I want to be for each of these positions. When I'm done, when I've got enough squares to tile the whole area, I'm just going to right click to end that command. And I'm going to just hide the rest of this stuff for now. So just hit the light bulb and all that hides. So now I'm ready to start up my print command again. I'm just going to go up to the printer, start that, and you can see it's remembering my last setting where it's keeping everything that's visible within the frame. But again, this is scaled down, and I want to print this to scale. So with scaled to fit selected here, I'm going to click on New. And it's asking me to drag to define print window. So I could drag anywhere. If I just wanted to start here, for instance, I would left click, and I'm dragging a box. And when I left click again, it would create this printable area. What I want to do though is I want to actually use these boxes that I've just created. I want to snap to each of these boxes so that things are printable, essentially. So I'm going to do that by just, again, left clicking and snapping to the end. And when I've done that, I'm going to press enter to go back to my print view. And you'll notice right now that it says scale 106.52. Well, I want to make sure that this is 1:1 at this point. So I'm going to go 1:1, select that, and everything just kind of decreased in size a little bit. This is now to scale. Okay, so I can clearly see my box, and I can actually see the overlap of the box next to it, which is really what we want, because when we go to print this, we want to see a little bit of overlap, and we're going to use that overlap to stitch things together. So we're going to be taping these pieces of paper together, and we're going to be using that overlap to register things. So once I've done that, I'm ready to print. Again, if I wanted the grid, I would just select grid over here, or not. And that's it. I hit print, and it's going to send it to my printer and print out. And now when I'm ready to print my next section, again, I go into print, and I need to make sure that I select, again, scaled to fit. Right now this new button up here is grayed out, so I need to select scaled to fit, and that becomes accessible now. So when I hit new, I can now specify my next area. One thing to note is when you have your snaps turned on, like I do right now, I'm snapping to the end, you'll notice that it will snap to, right now it's snapping near this line. I want to make sure that I'm actually snapping on the end and not on a point, for instance, or on the near. So it might help if you actually deselect everything except the end, and that way there's no doubt that, well, you can still snap to the end of a dimension by accident, but in general you want to make sure that you might want to pull out so that you see the whole sheet, and that way you're guaranteed that you're getting the area that you want. And again, here now I just make sure that this is set to 1:1 so that that reads 100%, and that's my printable area. So in all this, the most important thing to remember when you're in this dialog here is that before you go to print, this needs to read 100%, and that'll ensure that the units that you have in your file are the units that you're actually printing in real life on paper. I hope this helps, guys, and I'll see you in class. Thanks.